podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Now football is a pleasant game, played in the sun, played in the rain, and the team that gets me excited, Manchester United.
Hello and welcome to Rankcast. Welcome back after the international break. We're going to talk about United's massive game at Anfield this weekend and take all your questions. We might talk a little bit about international football too.
You must get to that football ground, take a lesson, come to see. Football taught by Matt Busby and Manchester. Manchester United, a bunch of bouncing Busby babes. They deserve to be knighted. They are the greatest team today. If you don't believe me, go and see them play. A type of football second to none. Now they're at the top of Division 1.
So, did you watch any of the international football? Didn't you swear not to watch it, or was that the Europa League? I can't remember which promise you've broken on crap football.
I broke my Europa League promise. I think that the idea was you were going to set me a task, but then you set me two games that were happening really in the very middle of the night. So I have watched not 1 minute of international football. I'm not exaggerating when I say the only international football I've seen is Angel Gomez's amazing free kick for whatever. I think it's under 17s. Yeah. No, that was a cracker. That was.
England with a very good under-17s team, a very good all the age group teams, actually. Just not a very good national team. Let's get 30 seconds of international football out of the way. Okay. So I didn't watch England beat Lithuania. I listened to it on the radio, and Danny Mills and the commentator were going, "This is really boring. This is really boring. This is terrible. This is a bunch of kids who've got a chance to impress. They're terrible. This is really boring." That was the whole commentary. So I'm guessing that wasn't very good. England versus Slovenia Thursday night was terrible as well. Apart from Marcus Rashford, who's very good. Hopefully he hasn't come back injured from his international break.
And the brave Lions will be roaring in Russia.
Yeah, they will. Yeah, I'm going to presume that there's going to be a massive overreaction from various Russian police forces, and there's going to be a lot of riots and stuff like that. Joy.
The quick cheese-eating surrender monkey updates, as we call the story of my people. Didier Deschamps is a terrible human. He's just a bad man. It's the only explanation. Why would you put David Moyes in charge of such a beautiful team of beautiful footballers?
Well, you know, the original is available.
I'm not saying I'd take him over Deschamps, but I'm saying whatever it takes to get rid of Deschamps at this point.
I mean, how can you... I used to talk about Louis van Gaal sucking the colour out of a rainbow. Deschamps is even worse. I mean, he's got way more talent at his disposal. And he manages to make the sum of all the parts much less than the whole.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
I mean, they've got injuries, or at least Pogba's injured. And I think have they qualified? If they haven't qualified, they're right on the verge of it now. But still, this group should not have been anywhere near this difficult when you've got Sweden winning 8-0. Did you see that, by the way? The Dutch coach in a pre-match saying, what if they win 8-0? He goes, they're not going to win 8-0. They're never going to win 8-0. And they won 8-0. It's good.
Yeah, some interesting scores over the international fortnight. So Scotland out after doing the most Scottish thing ever and scoring with about 2 minutes left to give them hope. Dashed. Northern Ireland through to the playoffs.
Well done. Like, what an incredible achievement that is.
It is for a country of just over 1 million people. Where one of Wales or Ireland should make it into the playoffs, so they're not absolutely guaranteed. So there's actually one weird permutation where if Croatia and Wales both draw and Croatia score one more goal in their draw, so say it's a 1-1 draw and a 2-2 draw, Croatia will actually go through on the fair play rule. Depending on cards in the next game, but they've got a few to play with. So, yeah, there's a few permutations. France, I think they only need a point to qualify, definitely.
Right.
So.
Belgium are through, but at tremendous cost.
Yes. Well, Lukaku sat out the first game, or both games. Maybe they've got another game coming this week. And yeah, they have next Tuesday. And Fellaini injured.
3 weeks, they reckon. So she'll be back for November. But obviously that means he's going to miss some pretty massive United games.
Well, United are going to be without Pogba, Carrick and Fellaini. So Matic and Herrera, I presume, will start against Liverpool. And not a lot of choices for Jose. I don't think there's been any other injuries. We'll see. I mean, Henrik Mkhitaryan's pride may have been injured after his team got spanked by 6 the other night. He's the captain and he apologised for it. And the 2 games I mentioned that you should watch for proper football hipsters, not wusses like you. Argentina versus Peru, which was rubbish, and USA versus Panama. And USA have not been good in this qualification campaign. Won 4-0, and they play Trinidad and Tobago, and they should be all right.
Christian Pulisic.
If you care about USA. Christian Pulisic, who may be the first genuine. He's young, right? But maybe the first genuine American football star, should I say, soccer star, who's a very good player, but much better than the hype of various other players before him, should go on to have a very good career.
Various other bits and pieces have happened during international break, as they always do. One of them is that Jose Mourinho has had a street named after him. A very hilarious bit on the Football Ramble where Mourinho was talking about how going back to his hometown, really keeps his feet on the ground. And they were pointing out that, like, for Jose Mourinho, going and having a street named after you is keeping your feet on the ground. It's good. It's a good joke, in my opinion. And of course, talking of Manchester United managers, ex-Manchester United manager David Moyes has been what can only be called at it again. I don't think there is a manager out there who would have been able to do something better or quicker in the time I was given after Sir Alex retired. It was all about small margins. And, we've banged this.
I don't think there's a manager out there who couldn't have done better. You can put Darren Ferguson in charge of that team and who'd done better than 7th, surely.
So here is an incomplete list of the managers that could have done better or quicker at the time. Jose Mourinho, Pep Guardiola, Jupp Heynckes, Tony Pulis, Sam Allardyce, not Pards. I'm not giving it to Pards, although the first half of the season would probably have been better under Pards. It's such a ridiculous statement. He's at this point, it really is sad because you kind of think, you know what, this is one of the reasons why you've done so terribly since leaving United, because instead of taking the responsibility for the bit that you did wrong, you're carrying this massive chip on your shoulder and blaming everyone else for something which, yep, there were mitigating circumstances, but at the heart of the matter, Dave, it was your fault.
Well, quite. Yes, it was. He's never admitted that, though, has he? Still firmly. I mean, at least he's at one with his convictions. He firmly believes that he just needed more time.
Classic, absolutely classic. All right, so that'll do for international football, right? Anything else going on that you wanted to bring up?
No.
Okay.
No. Rumours in the paper today about Anthony Martial first going to Arsenal. It's good. And then going to Barca. I'm not worried about that one yet.
Barca's a bit more worrying than Arsenal, I have to say. I can't imagine he'd be persuaded that Arsenal would be a good move for him at this point.
No.
All right, so what I'm going to try and do is answer every single Rantcast question that we've had this week. We've had a lot, so we're going to try and do them all. And in doing so, we might end up basically previewing the Liverpool game too. So the two things might be slightly combined because there are lots of questions that kind of relate. At Shrikanth_Nima says, what are the odds that Jose would bunker against Liverpool, by which I guess he means park the bus, essentially?
The funny thing is that Liverpool are much better going forward than they are defensively, although they're not that good going forward. Klopp's 2-year anniversary, today. Someone put out on Twitter, would you Do you think he's done a good job? He's done a fantastic job. Liverpool are 7th and going nowhere fast. So would he park the bus, Jose? Well, of course, it's Jose. So absolutely at any point he could park the bus. But I'm not sure that's... and at Anfield, you might say, typically, historically, one of the places where Jose might want to park the bus. He's certainly done that before. This Liverpool side doesn't quite feel like the right thing, does it?
No, and especially not given the personnel available to him. Because, he doesn't have enough defensive midfielders to just play all defensive players, does he? I think... I guess he'll play more defensively than maybe we would like or encourage, but whether it goes full bus park... Of course, he didn't exactly fully park the bus last time at Anfield. I mean, there was a long period of the game where he played 6 at the back, but they were quite progressive on the counter, United, at that last game. But I would... If you're just going to say, is he going to play leaning towards heavily defensive, my guess is just going to be yes. At Nick Gilbert 86 says, how much of a miracle worker is Jose? I'm gutted at the news of Fellaini being injured. This seemed ludicrous before. It's funny. It really reminds me of the start of last season when Fellaini was getting a lot of positive press for a few good performances. He's done it again, though.
Well, a few good performances, yeah. I mean, scored twice last time out. And goals do make difference in terms of the narrative, as well as in the game. Obviously, the narrative is far more important because we're talking about it. Look, he's not been United's best player this season by any stretch of the imagination. He is Fellaini. He's got a very limited skill set, which he's executing on well at the moment. I don't think it's a disaster that he's out. It's a disaster that Paul Pogba's out because he really is the big game player. The big time player. It's there's 2 players left, so it's going to be what it is. And Matic is playing out of his skin at the moment. And Herrera was very good last time out in Moscow, so I think they'll be fine as a pairing in midfield. There's a chance that Jose might go with 3 at the back, I suppose, good chance, I'd say, that he might do that, just to give him a little bit of extra security. We'll see.
At Blackchester United says, is this Pogba injury all a mind game and he'll be back for the Liverpool game? Please say yes. I'm clutching at straws.
Yeah, I mean, it's really odd that there's been no update on how long, which is kind of worrying, isn't it? But look, just a few pieces of evidence. Pogba walked off the pitch, wasn't carried off. So, whatever the injury, it wasn't so bad that he couldn't walk. And he's posting videos doing, pretty athletic gym type stuff. It doesn't seem like that's 6 months out or anything, does it?
So Ed, what you're saying is, if this was Jack Wilshere, you'd be casting aspersions.
Jack Wilshere, it seems, might get back into the England squad after this. Rash of stories today about that. What's that quote about doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result?
Or the articles written by Will Jackshire. Carlos _Anubis says, who joins Herrera and Matic in midfield against Liverpool, Carrick or Blint?
Well, I don't think Carrick's fit and Blint hasn't played in midfield forever.
For Jose?
For Jose. I think it will look something like a 3-4-3 if I was going to guess. So, and Blint might play, but at left wing back, although, of course, Ashley Young's got that spot at the moment.
So I did not know that Michael Carrick was injured. I had no idea of this. But yeah, he was not expected to be fit for the clash against Crystal Palace, and nor were Phil Jones or Marouane Fellaini, according to the same press conference. So, oh, Jose, you so crazy.
We'll see. Maybe he's fit, but he's hardly played this season. He's played once, hasn't he?
And against Burton Albion at that. So, he's just not really an active part of the first team squad yet this season. I imagine that it will be Herrera and Matic with, if he plays 3-4-3, then I'm going to say Valencia on one side, Young on the other side, and then up front, Martial, Mkhitaryan and Lukaku. But that means no Juanfield, which would be a great shame.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, lots of permutations in attacking and defensive positions. Just not in central and midfield. I mean, well, look, there's a point here, I suppose, that Andres Pereira is over in Valencia doing well, apparently. And he would have been a very good option, although he, again, would have had no minutes this season up to this point.
Yeah, and Mourinho's made it very clear that he asked Pereira to stay and he wanted Pereira to stay, but Pereira wanted to get the football. I guess, even though he's a very talented player, that to me sounds like a player who's probably not seeing his long-term future at United. Either that or he's hoping he's just going to outlast Mourinho. At Redvedev says, how stupid does someone who's out of work have to be to keep mentioning their biggest career failure? And there is a quote tweet which refers to who that's about, but we can probably guess. I mean, to be fair, I suppose that every time he ever talks in public, he is asked about his biggest career failure. And so, I rather suspect he's asked about United in every big interview he does. But he just says the same thing over and over and over again, doesn't he?
He would be better just storming off and getting it over and done with. I'm talking about that sort of thing, Fergie would have done that.
What an amazing Scottish accent that was.
Awful. Got as far as the A in the nay.
And then just dropped it entirely.
I'm not. You can do that. Try.
No, I'm not doing that. Not Moyes. I refuse to deign Moyes with an impression. At _Tommy A says, have you ever seen a Bigfoot? I got size 12 feet, but beyond that, no. At Dom Nozaik says, how many of United's English contingent will make the World Cup final squad for next year? Thank you for your question, Dom.
I would think it would be Rashford, Jones and Smalling.
And Lingard.
Yeah, probably Lingard, yeah.
Yeah, definitely Jones, definitely Rashford, and then maybe Smalling, maybe Lingard. Because Smalling might not play that much for the rest of the season. Yeah,
we'll see. Although, typically he's been in Southgate's squads. And it's not like, there are lots of choices at central defence for England, but it's not like any of them are definitely saying, play me. Stones was not great against Lithuania, apparently. And who else is there? Michael Keane nearly put through his own net. Who else played? Can't remember. Gary Cahill will definitely go. Yeah. So anyway,
the thing is, I think Stones and Jones is the partnership potentially, because I have to say, although John Stones might not have played well in that game, I wouldn't trust Danny Mills' assessment of John Stones for all the tea in China. Because that feels like just reflexively that's not a good match. At Wayne Farry says, what's worse, people who criticise Pogba for his haircuts or those who criticise Martial for not smiling enough? They're both very bad, so it's kind of hard to choose which one's actually worse. I think I lean towards people criticising Pogba for his haircuts being worse, to be fair.
Yeah, it's both stupid. They're both stupid.
They're both really bad. If you absolutely had to pick one or the other as worse, though.
Yeah, it's the haircut thing, I suppose, because there's some sinister-sounding stuff in some of that.
Yeah. At Josh Mart 90 says, is Fellaini's injury a major blow ahead of our trip to Anfield? We have Herrera and Matic available. And this is the thing, of course, because everyone's going, okay, Fellaini's in great form. It's a big miss on that scale. But, we're also running the risk that his form will just collapse and he'll give away a penalty. And, I'm not saying that it's good that he's out by any stretch of the imagination, but we will literally never know whether it was a disaster or not that he was out.
Yeah. I would be a complete hypocrite, wouldn't I? If I suddenly decided he was the world's best midfielder. He's definitely not. So it's not a disaster. It does leave United really short.
Yeah. At John Clonelly says, despite playing well, do you feel we've only beaten rubbish teams? And do you think we're capable of beating the Scousers 4-0 in spite of our injuries?
Yeah, well, given their back four, yes. It stinks, Liverpool's back four. That said, I wouldn't expect United to actually win 4-0 at Anfield. I'm not sure we'll open up quite like that. The first part of the question, have we only played rubbish sides? Well, that's not entirely fair, but definitely not played all the highest quality sides yet. There's going to be 3 of them coming up, though. 2.5. There's Liverpool then as the warm-up for Spurs and Chelsea coming after that before bonfire night.
Yeah, so it's going to get really real in the next few weeks, and we'll see. At P. Padman says, has Martial ever scored a goal to the left side of the post? I guess by the left side of the post, he means the left side of the goal. There must have been one, but he does love that brush to the right-hand side, doesn't he?
Yeah. Don't know. Never analysed it. Someone out there will have the data.
I'm trying to think if I can remember a goal that he's like hammered in at the to the keeper's, well, the keeper's right, I guess. Can't think of one. At Pranav D. Mehta says, newspaper reports suggesting that Mourinho is angry with Pogba. Do you think something's going on behind the scenes? Mysterious. I mean, it is all a bit strange, the Pogba situation. There were reports that he'd been banned by the club from playing basketball.
Yeah, well, he's got a hamstring injury.
No, but I mean more long-term, like no more basketball for you, Mr. Pogba sort of thing.
Maybe they're worried about the impact on his hamstrings. Maybe they think he's got a long-term problem.
And also, I mean, it's sort of intuitively, you think, well, people do get injured playing basketball. It would seem like that, that would be one of the things that you wouldn't be allowed to do as a footballer.
Yeah, along with riding motorbikes and skiing and that kind of stuff.
Abdularg says, never thought we'd ever miss Fellaini if he ever got injured, but that's a blow against Liverpool. We'll keep reading these out, but I think we've covered that one. Anton Alfie, friend of the show, says, how did you enjoy watching Romania versus Kazakhstan then? Hashtag hipster football fan.
I think I was watching some other hipster stuff. So talking to hipster football, it looks like, although I haven't actually, strictly speaking, booked my tickets yet, it looks like I'm going to be in Colombia. And there's Bogota City Derby, Millonarios versus Tigres while I'm there, I think. So I'm going to go do some ridiculous hipster football.
I mean, we discussed this briefly, but the number of hipster points you get for that, I feel like that transcends beyond hipster, though. That is more like the kind of that's more like the football tourist, the person seeking experiences. I think if you actually go to the game immediately, there's a sort of less hipster quality to it.
Yeah,
unless it's Dulwich Hamlet. Come on, I'm only playing. I know there's at least one Dulwich Hamlet fan listening to this. At Farhan_Ahmed says, how do you fine folks think Jose will counter the Liverpool pressing game without Fellaini to target with long balls?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a good question because that's exactly what United did in the Europa League final. Stuck Fellaini at 10 and bypassed midfield. Well, they're not going to be able to do that. I mean, they can play long up to Lukaku. He's all right in those kind of situations. It's not, he likes the ball in front of him, not on his head or having the chest control. So I don't think United will play like that. I think they'll play with 3 and try and play it into wide areas using plenty of pace on the break.
We mentioned this young man earlier in the show. At 8% Android says, how important is it for Jose to give Angel Gomez minutes this season, and will it happen? He's 16. It's not important at all for him to be given minutes in the first team this season. And no, it won't happen.
No. I don't think it will, unless there's any dead rubbers at the end of the season. It doesn't look like he's going to use the League Cup quite like that, so he probably won't be getting any games. The only thing I'd say is that the standard of the reserve league or the under-23 league isn't great. I mean, it's actually not helped that they have allowed sort of older players come into there. There's still a huge gap between the two leagues, and it's a massive problem for English football overall. It's a massive glass ceiling, and Angel Gomez will face that. If not this season, then soon enough. He's a very talented player, and he's going to have to go and get some football. I'm going to enjoy watching a player of Angel Gomez's unique talents playing the Championship on loan somewhere.
It's a really tricky one. I mean, a player like that has to be one of the kind of hardest players to bring through in England. Because if he was in Spain, like, he could play in the Barcelona first team this season, But how do you put a player that's that physically small into first team football in England. It's a huge challenge, and it's not like he's. I mean, maybe it could be proven wrong because he's still 16, but he's not going to grow a tremendous amount, is he? You wouldn't think, looking at him, but he's just such a huge talent.
He is. Well, if you haven't seen it, I'm sure most of you will have done by the time this comes out. His free kick for England under 17s is an absolute stormer. We mentioned it at the beginning of the show, but go check it out. He's a huge amount of talent.
At Dolly Pozzo with an interesting question. In the next summer window, would you take Mesut Ozil on a free with his Premiership know-how, or would you spend 100+ million on Griezmann?
Yeah, I mean, they're not the same player, so...
No, but they're likely to be playing roughly in the same position in the team.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, Griezmann plays sort of off the left of a front three for France, and as the main striker at Atletico, although that may not be the case in the second half of the season. So I'm not sure we're comparing exact apples for pears here, or apples for apples.
No, but I think that actually makes it a much more interesting question rather than which is the best.
Sure,
I don't know, trequartista or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, look, look, Griezmann's been outstanding for 3 seasons at Atletico and in the international team, so you know what you're going to get. You're going to get a very, very fine player. Mesut Ozil turns up when he wants to. His numbers are outstanding, or were outstanding at Real Madrid, so 25+ assists per season, not anywhere near that number at Arsenal, but still good numbers. But he just doesn't want to play. If he doesn't want to play, and he doesn't, and he disappears for a long time. So I think the more interesting question is, well, maybe the more pertinent question is, would you swap Mkhitaryan for Ozil? Really?
Yeah, the answer to that is definitely not. But that might be a mistake, really, because the thing about Ozil is he did do excellently at Real Madrid. He's been in a dreadful side at Arsenal, and, not to want to really use very lazy stereotypes about Ozil, but he does not seem like the kind of player that's going to dramatically transform a team around him, but he could do one heck of a job in a good team. And with the kind of running that you would have around him at United, imagine Rashford on one flank, Martial on the other flank, and Lukaku through the middle with Ozil behind them. Ozil would be having an absolute field day under those circumstances. So, I would have Griezmann over him for a lot of money, mostly because it almost feels like when you ask a question like that, you're kind of intuitively thinking, well, you can afford for the free transfer player to be a bit less good than the expensive player. But with United's finances being the way they are, it really doesn't matter if they spend 100 million euros on a player or sign him on a free. It's all that really matters is what their overall impact is on the pitch. And I think Griezmann's would be better. But yeah, I think the kind of instant rejection of Ozil is probably a little bit unfair on the player, because even in the games when, they say he doesn't turn up, last season he ran more kilometres than Alexis Sanchez, for example, per game. His underlying chance creation numbers, even when he's not getting assists, are absolutely extraordinary. He's a really good player.
Yeah. Yes. Whether he's really good enough or more good than what United have got right now, I'm not sure.
Yeah, absolutely. At C. Etchingham 77 says, do you feel pleased watching United players do well at international level, or fret that they'll get injured? Both, I guess.
Yeah, a bit of both. Yeah. The kind of recognition and profile you get with international football is good for the players. Not so good they're getting extra minutes. Playing stupid dead rubbers in Lithuania.
I guess the thing is, the only time I really think, okay, that's good, is if a player who's a bit low on confidence has a really good game, or a player who's bang in form continues to be bang in form. At Annie Rudder 112 says, with Pogba and Fellaini out for the foreseeable future, how does this affect Man United's title hopes this season? Oh, Fellaini.
Yeah, the thing that's going to stop United winning the title is Fellaini being injured for 3 weeks, for sure.
In sort of opposition to a lot of the questions we're getting on this subject, at Nicarella13 says, will Fellaini's injury improve our style of football?
Well, Herrera, assuming it's Herrera who comes into the side, certainly moves the ball quicker. So, he's going to, back to the earlier question, it'll probably change Mourinho's thinking. United are going to have to play it through midfield. But he uses the ball very, very smartly, Herrera. So I don't think it's not a huge loss from a footballing point of view, put it like that.
At Matic for the People says, would you take a guaranteed win on Saturday if it meant losing to City in the derby? Absolutely not, because I don't think Liverpool are going to be in the running for the league at the end of the season. We need to take points off City.
I don't like questions like that.
And why not? What don't you like?
Just, I'm not going to think. It's like it's almost as bad as saying, "Oh, it's the last game of the season. Only Liverpool or City can win the league. Which one do you take?"
City every day, all day, every day. It's easy. Everyone knows the answer is City, obviously.
They don't count City. It's not a real football club.
Exactly. At Jimmy the Crumb asking a question that we've already covered, but I thought I'd mention him. He says, is Pereira's Valencia decision looking like a mistake? It's interesting, just from the player's perspective. I can't say it is, because he's already played a lot of football this season, and he's still going to play a lot more football this season at Valencia than he would have done at United.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's played 5 times for Valencia so far. So, and that's 5 times more than he had played for the Reds.
At Rigsy_Red Devil says, do you think the 3-4-2-1 system we played against CSKA is a possibility against Liverpool?
Yeah.
That would be kind of fun in a way, because it would, presumably that would mean Martial would be one of the two behind Lukaku. Who knows, though? Like, Mourinho's capacity to pick Rashford over Martial knows no bounds, does it? Well,
it's not like Rashford's in bad form or anything, but certainly in that kind of formation where Martial has no real defensive responsibility, he's got a chance to shine, audition for his future move to Barcelona.
Talking of which, at Torkelich says, Rashford and Martial in the same lineup? Will it happen this season? I guess in the games when Mourinho rests Lukaku.
It happened in the League Cup.
Yep. I can't imagine it's going to happen that often. It would probably take an injury to one of Mata, Mkhitaryan or Lukaku.
Yeah. Although the way Mourinho talks, he doesn't really think of Martial as a forward striker. That is, but yes, it would take an injury, and it being pre-Zlatan, because of course, come December or January, whenever Zlatan's actually fit, he's getting back in the team.
Anyone else completely forget about the existence of Zlatan Ibrahimovic? Because I certainly had up to this point. Completely forgot that was a thing. 100% forgot about it.
It's going to be an interesting debate soon, because Mourinho's talked about giving Lukaku a rest when Zlatan is back. We might be going back to last year and missing chances.
Or maybe he'll hit the ground running or something, or hit the ground strolling, but elegantly. We've got 2 questions from at Mike Warburton. One is that he wants to know what the heck is going on with Pogba's injury, but we don't know. And the other is what the heck is going on with Gomez's contract discussions. Are we really in danger of losing this exceptional young talent?
I'm sure that United will sort out a contract. I'm sure.
I mean, it'd be absolutely ridiculous if they hadn't. A headline from SI.com, sportsinteractive.com, Man United team hasn't signed deal, Barcelona looms. If ever there was a player who was born for Barcelona, by the way, obviously I want him to do well at United, but wouldn't be entirely shocked if he ends up there. If United win the league this season, asks at Shazink10, how long do you think Mourinho will stay at the club? 1 more year, right? That's what we think.
Well, it's standard. I mean, he's making all the other opposite noises at the moment, but we'll see.
At Gary_1105 says, is there a better time to have these international breaks, or is it just impossible to have a good time for such a bad thing? Yeah, I mean, I feel like the first one of the season should be put back, but then it would only be delaying the bad bit. It's like when you eat your dinner and you leave the good bit till last, isn't it? That's international breaks. Just get them out of the way early, I guess.
There's a proposal to have fewer international breaks and have them longer. So instead of the double header system that they now have, go for a triple header system. And then you could close down 1 or 2 windows per year.
Yeah, but then what are we talking? 2 weeks worth of international football?
Yeah, maybe even 3, basically, because you get 2 weeks now, or close 11 days, and it might well be, but that is in the same set of proposals that also includes reducing football to 2 halves of 30 minutes. And the clock stops when the ball goes out of play or is not active.
I'm not against that. I'm not necessarily against
I'm against it. I mean, look, on average, it would result in the same amount of football and greater clarity. But, it's worked for 150 years. So.
Yeah, but, there's lots of rules that have changed over that time.
Yeah, but how the clock works in football is a pretty fundamental rule. And for me, I think it's a slippery slope. It'd be, we're going to stop the clock now. Well, since we're going to have so many clock stoppages, we might just, stop play as well. And we can have some timeouts. And next thing you know, they'll be picking up the ball and throwing it.
Flintshire Lad says, if you had to have the same hairstyle as any member of the current United squad, what would it be? Who would it be? P.S. Darmian's sideburns count. I've got a big problem with Darmian's sideburns, it's fair to say, Ed.
Well, look, I don't have a problem with his sideburns. He can wear sideburns if he wants. He looks like the werewolf in London. That's all.
Yeah, that's kind of a cool look. I at one point in my life, I basically had Daily Blitz's hair, so I think I would just go...
yes. Now, no, the dots are being formed. Yeah, that's why you love it so much. I forgot about it. You've had all sorts of haircuts.
Yeah, I have.
So. Many of them quite ridiculous. Rather like Daly's.
I've never had a ridiculous haircut, Ed. I mean, not since I was a small child. When actually, I had a lovely bowl cut when I was a small child. I've never had a ridiculous haircut. What are you talking about? Listen, it was the 90s. We all bleached our hair. I mean, you didn't, but you were boring, Ed. What can I say?
I mean, I've had bedhead since I was about 12. So.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it was ideal for you when bedhead became the dominant fashion in the world, wasn't it?
Right.
What is your answer? You've got to pick one United player's hairstyle.
Fellaini's. I think it'd suit me.
Yes, excellent. I think that would be great. At the Surablal says, no problem, no Fellaini, no problem. I think it's going to be the Ander Herrera show at Juanfield. Just wanted to mention that, really. At Crango says, what do you think of Rashford and Martial fighting for one place? It's fine for now, but maybe there is a better way to use them both. People want to know. People really want to know how we get them both in the side.
I mean, playing the three up front, basically.
And it's working for now, isn't it? That's the key thing. At Bugty Badman says, if Buzz Lightyear thinks he's a space ranger, why does he freeze when Andy comes into the room? I mean, I'm going to say it's some sort of like a primeval toy-based fight or flight thing, but this is a question that's been asked for a long time because essentially he doesn't think he's a toy. He thinks he's a real space ranger, and yet when the child comes in, he freezes like all the toys do. Maybe we just put it down to peer pressure.
Yeah.
I've got a question about whether we should play back three. At Neil1670 says, Martial is our best penalty taker, in my opinion, but who should be taking the penalties if he's not starting? Job share on the left wing, job share on penalties, right?
I'd thought that Rashford would take a good penalty. Have we seen him take one? Don't think so, but he hits a very clean ball. So
yeah.
And Lukaku shouldn't because his record's terrible. And we persisted with Wayne Rooney taking penalties for years, even though his record was terrible.
It should be Edison Cavani. That's who should be taking them. At Future Scribble says, how do Rashford and Martial compare with the likes of Dembele and Mbappe? What is their ceiling?
Yeah, I mean, look, in a way, this is just lazy, isn't it? Because we're like, it's three young kids, therefore, and, three young black kids, therefore we should compare them all. And it's a bit lazy, but I wrote a piece this week in which I mentioned them all in the same paragraph. So, hey, lazy journalist. I suppose right now he's just a step behind, just because the former two really hitting the numbers. I mean, Mbappe might be a once-in-a-generation player. We'll see.
The question is about both Rashford and Martial comparing to Dembele and Mbappe rather than just Rashford.
Yeah, I mean, Martial's 3 years older or 2.5 years older, right? So I don't know whether that's quite fair. He's had a bit more football. He's taken a bit longer to establish himself in the United side with Mourinho. I think he's as talented as Dembele for sure. And he has blown hot and cold as well. And currently out injured for several months. Mbappe, we'll see. I mean, he does amazing stuff. and he can play very comfortably in any of three positions, really. So, as I said, he might be a once-in-a-generation player. I don't think Rashford and Martial are far behind, though. We'll see.
I completely agree. Although the one thing is, I genuinely don't think this particular one is about race, really. I think this one is about...
No, but it's a very easy comparison.
It is, and in fact, there's we did have a question about that, but I skipped it just because it's been obviously we've talked about this an awful lot on the podcast recently, but there is a tendency where players get compared with players that look like them, but I don't think this is that for sure.
It's called a framing bias, and it happens all the time. There's a great bit in Malcolm Gladwell's book, or it might be Thinking Fast, Thinking Slow. Yeah, anyway, one of them, where they're talking about an Indian NBA player came over for a trial, was brought over, and when asked at, he's like 6'12" or something, insane. Yeah, of course.
I believe 6'12". There's another way of saying 6'12", right?
Yeah, not in this household. Yeah, and he's asked at his interviews, who do you compare yourself? And he said Michael Jordan, because no one can compute this. He's an Indian guy. Why is he calling him? Why is he saying he compares himself to Michael Jordan? So it's the way the human brain works.
We've got a question which I don't understand. At Hez133 says, a starting 11, also, by the way, I'm not sure that it's just to do with the way human brains fundamentally work, and I think it might be to do with the way human brains are socialised, but that's a bigger question. At Hez133 says, a starting 11 consisting of goalkeeper, back four and two midfielders who all played for Fergie. That'd be a decent side, right? No, 6 players and a goalkeeper would not be a good side. A very, very average team could beat the best team of 6, like 2 midfielders, a back four and a goalkeeper.
Who all played for Fergie?
Yeah, even if Fergie was the manager.
Yeah. And if they once played for Fergie, they'd all be old as well.
Yeah, but like Peach, Michael, Owen, Stam, Ferdinand, Gary Neville, Roy Keane and Paul Scholes would get absolutely battered by West Brom,
Yeah.
I promised to lay off the politics, so I'm not going to answer this question about our thoughts on a universal basic income.
Being trialled around the world... I'm not sure that's necessarily political. I think there's some very arch capitalists in favour of this, just because the hyper amounts of value created by the digital economy and then the automated digital economy in the world of AI means that if you think there's unequal distribution of value now, you've seen nothing, and that's why some mega capitalists think it's probably the thing to do. Otherwise, you get that film with. Matt Damon in it, Elysium, where all the rich elite live on a space station somewhere above the trash heap that is Earth.
At Jay Bonza says, all future international games between now and the end of the season should be cancelled. Yes? Yes.
Yeah, bin them all off, yeah. I mean, why? In fact, here's a better idea. FIFA talking about clumping games together. Why not go the whole hog and just play all international qualification games in a 3-week period at the end of the summer, the end of the season? Just ram them all in there. Saturday, Wednesday, all 10 games, qualification done, bye, see ya.
At Joey M_UX says, has mankind achieved anything greater than Antonio Valencia's volley since it happened? It's tough to think. I'm trying to work out whether there have been any better goals than that since that goal was scored, but it was Antonio Valencia absolutely walloping the ball into the back of the net. So,
well, we've managed to not start nuclear Armageddon. That's an achievement.
I don't know. I feel like putting it off for another fortnight is not really that much of an achievement. Anyway, at BRoy1709, friend of the show, Brian Roy, with a question that I feel is fundamentally predicated on a flawed notion. He says, does it not upset you a bit that we still ultimately resort to spending big money to resolve weaknesses? Under Fergie, that was the last resort. In fact, high-profile signings were ushered out for youth players. Beckham brought in for Poborski, Kanchelskis, and even Brown for Stam. And I just don't think it's even that much. I just think it's not true at all. So Kanchelskis and Ince and Hughes all went to bring through the class of 92. That's the only time he ever did that. He didn't let Stam go because he wanted to bring Brown through. And ultimately he spent 30 million to replace Jaap Stam. And yeah, I mean, and even now, when we're spending these massive fortunes, we've got Marcus Rashford in the team every week. We've got Jesse Lingard in the squad. You know, it's always been a case of like expensive players coming in to build, you know, to thicken out the squad. And the money's coming in. I'd rather it was spent on players than just like dribbled away to shareholders or whatever.
Well, yeah, shareholders being the Glazer family and a couple of pension funds. Sure, yeah, Fergie spent plenty of money. As Matt Busby was purported to have said, I'd rather sit on the pitch. Thanks.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know, there is a question of identity, and you don't just want the team to be about just buying the latest, flashiest superstar.
Sure. But look, if there was a magic formula for creating youth players and getting them into the team, everyone would be able to do that. You know, so Barcelona had a rash of players a few years back. That's not really happening right now.
Nope.
You know, they do get younger players into the team, but not of the same quality just at the moment. And so, you know, United had that glut 25 years ago now.
Yeah.
And it's not really happened since. But yeah, you're right. Rashford is in the team. Lingard is, you know, he's in and out, but he's never going to embarrass himself. He's a good player. And we talked about another who could make it big at United, Angel Gomez. You know, not in the first team yet, but I'd back his talent to get him there.
Yeah, absolutely. And just it's just the kind of slightly romantic notion of what Fergie was about, because I mean, it hardly ever happened that he replaced a superstar with a young player. It's just not what he did. And a lot of the time he kind of bought in young talent late on. Rooney cost a fortune. Ronaldo didn't cost exactly a fortune, but he did cost what was still a lot of money then.
Yeah, sure.
You know, he spent 30 million on Anderson.
Ferguson's real skill was not necessarily about bringing players through. It was about making something out of the players he had, you know. So I was looking at the photo from Wayne Rooney's debut lineup. Included Cleberson, Jemba and Bellion, and Roy Carroll in goal. I mean, man, and he won games with that team. Incredible. Amazing.
@_Taylor Ben says, how long before David Moyes runs out of people to blame and actually discovers he's a horrific manager? I think there's no way this is ever going to happen. I wonder whether in his darker moments, whether he does wonder. But I suspect he probably just sort of sits there and mutters to himself, no, Davey, you're right. It's all of them.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, you know, if we find him swinging from a beam somewhere one day, we'll know that we were wrong about this.
Oh.
I knew I was going to get that reaction from you. So,
I just, you know, it's like, it's all fun and games until you make it about actual terrible things that have happened.
Yeah, the actual terrible thing that happened, but he was appointed manager of Manchester United. Just let that play through your head once more.
@LA Sebastian 10 says, why are we attacking the Stretford end so much in the first half this year? It's just not right.
No, it's not right. It's not right. And I think United should put extra effort in when that happens. So going back to David Moyes, of course, I'm going to guess that Gordon Strachan will probably resign. Job there.
Yeah. Take it and fail to get Scotland to a major tournament and then blame the available talent. @Werner Dale says, dinner party at yours, you're allowed to invite 3 people from United's past or present. Who do you invite and what do you cook?
We've had this question before.
Yeah, but I don't think we've ever had it with 3, and I don't think we've ever had what do you cook. I think I'd do a nice spiced dish of spiced cabbage and chickpeas with some lovely rice. And I would invite Fergie, Eric, and Roy Keane.
Got to have Roy Keane in there, yeah. I mean, do I get 3 as well on top of those? Because I'd have definitely had Cantona and Keane, so I might have to have Gary Neville and Juan Mata and Brian Robson. Nice. Although I'm not sure Brian Robson's great company, but you know, Depends whether he's on the sauce or not. I suppose. And I'd get Nando's, obviously, because they're footballers.
A. Hardiman says, Harry Kane would be devastating at United. #Rantcast. Yeah, we definitely don't need to buy another striker.
No, I don't think we need... Yeah, the £150 million or whatever it would cost, I don't think we need it, no.
All right, 3 questions left, and then we are done. At Tasty Batman says, will Lingard ever be a starter, or is he another Ji-Sung Park? Yeah, he's another Ji-Sung Park. Rich_Atwater says, what can be done about Chris Smalling's weird chin beard thing? I'm not saying it's holding back his performances, but it definitely can't be helping. I think you're right, Richard.
No, it's not good. It's not good. I mean, it's right up there with Darmian's ridiculous sideburns and just ridiculous. And Daley Blind's fop.
No, listen, there's legitimately nothing wrong with Daley Blind's hair. Like, I'll give you Darmian's sideburns, although I would take Darmian's sideburns over Chris Smalling's weird chin strap beard thing every day of the week. But there's literally nothing wrong with Blind's hair. It's glorious. At that James Boy says, 1 in, 1 out in January. Who? Reasonable spending, obviously. I would go with Smalling out, Griezmann in.
Hey, I mean, cheeky bid for Griezmann. Yeah. Why not? I mean, is he cup-tied? I guess he is cup-tied in the Champions League. But so what? You just keep him from the Premier League. Yeah. Why not? And we can activate his clause now that Atletico can buy players again. He's got no moral compunction about it. And we can bin off anyone. I'm probably not a defender. Maybe, maybe Fellaini just to piss off the Twitter crowd.
All right, let's talk about Liverpool, the team, for a bit, because we've had lots of questions about United as it relates to Liverpool. But how are they going to play? Who are they going to play? I mean, they're going to play 4-3-3 because they played 4-3-3 every game this season so far. I guess. I mean, Mignolet, one would assume. I'm not too up on who's injured, by the way. But Mignolet, Gomez, Matip, Lovren, Moreno, probably. God, he's not very good, but he's likely to play.
No, none of them. Matip and Lovren. I mean, look, I made fun of Smalling and Jones before, but these two, awful. I mean, I've seen pub teams with more talent than, especially Lovren. I mean, Matip, didn't he score an own goal the other week? But Lovren is terrible. Mignolet's very, very average. Wasn't Clavan supposed to come in and save Liverpool or something? No, not
Loris. No, not Loris. Cloris? What's his name? No.
Karius.
That's really bad. Not paying attention, that is.
I mean, you've got, old funny Waddle, Gate in the central midfield. He's definitely not that good. I mean, I know he's the darling of the press and all that. Coutinho, is he focused? I mean, he scored the other week, didn't he? We'll see. I
mean, he's been by miles Liverpool's best player every time he's played for them so far. I think that is he focused is a kind of irrelevant question, basically, because yes, he clearly is. He's scored twice, I think, already in the league. He's got 2 goals and an assist already in his 3 league appearances. So, yeah, he's back and he's firing.
Yeah, I mean, I do think this 4-3-3 doesn't help him. He's not playing as a number 10 by any means, and he's typically got someone in front of him, crowding his space or getting in his zone, as Robin van Persie would say. So I'm not sure it's the right formation to get the best out of Coutinho. Oxlade-Chamberlain, fraud. Big fraud, always has been. Wijnaldum's a good player, solid Premier League player, so...
He's not having a very good season, though.
No, that's true. And Sturridge, hot and cold, will he play? I don't know. I'm not even sure he'll play, will he? I mean, they could play Firmino up there, who's not a striker. You can see they've got problems all over the place, Liverpool, which of course means...
Did you just say Sturridge hot and cold? As if that's it. That's the only analysis we need on
Well,
Sturridge.
That's his whole career. It is his whole career. He'll be terrible for 3 months in a row and then score some absolute worldie.
I mean, he's changed so much as a player with injuries, and now it really is just about whether Klopp wants to play a striker or not, because The only reason to play Sturridge is just so you have a player who's an actual striker in the number 9. Their literal number 9, Roberto Firmino, who's played there a lot, is kind of like playing as a false 9, and that was pretty effective last season, but much less effective this season. And not only have they conceded like water flowing through their fingers, but they haven't scored that many goals either. I mean, certainly not compared to United. It's not just things are just not that good. I mean, I think Salah is a really good player. I think Sadio Mane has proved that he's, Liverpool struggles so much without Mane in the side. I think it's fair to say he's kind of proved that he's capable of cutting it at, I would say, a better level even than Liverpool. So they are dangerous. They will be dangerous. But it's funny. I was just on Who Scored to see if I could see details about which Liverpool players are available or not. And they have the team characteristics where they kind of try and statistically calculate the strengths and weaknesses of the team.
What does it say? Weaknesses: defending, of various types.
Yeah. Liverpool's weaknesses: defending against attacks down the wings, defending against through ball attacks, protecting the lead. That's weak. I think we are quite good at attacking down the wings and attacking with through ball attacks.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because actually, if you look at their attacking players, they might well be set up for playing on the break. But you can't imagine that's actually going to happen at Anfield.
No, but you've got two teams where, I'm fascinated by how the pattern of this game is going to go because, Liverpool's very aggressive pressing style is what it is. But I think in one way, one of the best ways to counter Liverpool is by pressing them too, so that, you're putting a lot of pressure on their back four. I feel like United's best football, even though Mourinho is obviously like a low block guy, isn't he? You can see that whenever the team is kind of set up and in position when they're defending, they defend pretty deep. But a lot of our like really good attacking opportunities come when we snatch the ball by putting a bit of pressure. And actually, I guess having Herrera and Matic in the side is going to lend itself to that. Mkhitaryan, especially last season, was really good at doing that kind of terrier sort of stuff at the back end of last season. Herrera and him put together a lot of interceptions working together. So I wonder whether pressing Liverpool back, keeping the back four quite deep, but the rest of the attacking unit a bit pressing, Matic sweeping up between the lines, that could sort of work, couldn't it?
Yeah. We'll see. If he goes with a 3, he's going to match Liverpool's forward line. And then he could play a pressing game. If he goes with a 4 at the back, I think it's probably, as you call it, the low block, much more likely, and much more likely to then try and play on the break.
Yeah, that sounds entirely reasonable. What do you predict will be Manchester United's starting 11 for this one then?
So I think he'll go with a 3. So I think it's going to be De Gea, Valencia, Jones, Bailly, Young. No, sorry, 3. I was going with 4 at the back there. Valencia, Bailly, Jones, Smalling, Young. Could go Lindelof, but he won't. Matic, Herrera, Mkhitaryan, Martial, Lukaku.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. I think my only predicted change from that is the one that I would be sad, but I think is probably going to happen. I think he'll play Rashford instead of Martial, just because why break the habit? I do think it'll be that formation. It'd be a bit of almost to the extent it'd be a bit of a surprise if it is a back 4. But I would be very interested to see what would happen if he played 4-2-3-1 and just kind of went for it with the team that he's been playing at home, with Herrera in the kind of, in inverted commas, Pogba role, although obviously nowhere near as good. And then scoreline prediction, got to do it. We always do. Yeah,
8-0. Yeah, 8-0 to United.
Jobs are good. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like that Dutch coach. Never going to be 8. We're going to win. They're terrible. We're going to win 3-1.
I would like it if we won 3-1. That would be very nice. Win or lose, we're on the podcast back after that next week to wrap that game up or to rap about that game, I guess. And take a few questions, not as many as this week. Thank you to everyone that asked. And we'll be looking forward to Benfica game and whoever it is we're playing that next weekend. Spurs at home, I guess.
And that'll be a fine game indeed.
So until then, take very good care of yourselves and we'll see you next week. Come on, you Reds.
See you next week.
The Rantcast is produced by Tom Jenkins and supported by listeners like you. Head to patreon.com/Rantcast to find out more.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.